Okay, here we go again. Alright, so this is the third time I'm re-recording this video. Last time I just wasn't happy with how it looked. Time before that, it was completely out of focus. I really hope this is in focus. But now I'm using a Sigma Art 24-70, so we're good. And the first time, I rewatched it and I was entirely too drunk. And I was also insanely hot, wearing a tank top looking like a douche, sweating my ass off. Because this house gets worse air circulation than the FX6 does in stores. So that's why we're here. Fuck. Sweating again. Like a lot of you, I put in multiple pre-orders for the FX6 at a lot of places many months ago. And after, well, no updates at all, I just kind of got sick of it. So I went back to the drawing board and started thinking of what other cameras could I get that are just as good. And in a moment of weakness, I considered the Red Komodo. I'm glad I didn't. There's many reasons. If you're familiar with Red at all, you know them. Then I considered the Canon C70. Everyone loves that beautiful Canon color. Excellent dynamic range, beautiful image. But I wanted to stick with Sony. My only other options were the FX3, which, I don't know, didn't really interest me. And then the Sony a7S III, which at first I wasn't interested in because I didn't want another mirrorless or DSLR body to deal with. Then I started to think this could make a great B-cam to the FX6 whenever that does ship. And after getting it, I realized I don't need the FX6. This is all I need. Well, the FX6 is just a beefed up a7S III in a cine body. It's got the same exact sensor. It's got the same high dual ISO. They have all the same resolutions and frame rates. They both shoot 4K 120. Well, the a7S III needs a Ninja to do true 4K, but a Ninja's worth it. And they both do ProRes RAW externally. Sony's color science has come quite a long while since the last time I was using Sony, which is the FS7 Mark I days. They both now have the S-Cinetone profile, which is very nice. If you're running and gunning and don't have a lot of time to color grade, it looks really good. And something at first I didn't give a shit about, autofocus. They both have the same exact autofocus system. The FX6 does not have any internal stabilization, while the a7S III has full IBIS and different modes of it. As always, there are negatives, and with any mirrorless DSLR body, you're going to have some shortcomings. Number one is no internal ND, and that brings you into the wonderful world of expensive filters. Yeah, there are cheap ones, but they're pieces of shit. I mean, for a decent set, you're talking upwards $900 for a fully used set. It's the best deal I've seen. Or you can always go, the old trusty screw-on variable ND route. There are some definite good ones out there, but there's a lot of garbage that'll give you some pretty shitty color casting and the old dreaded X, so be careful. No SDI. Not really a deal breaker for a lot of people, myself included. HDMI works just fine for my needs, but it's fixable with another adapter, which leads me into the biggest shortcoming with this camera and all mirrorless bodies is you're going to spend a lot of money rigging this thing up. I mean, to be an actual city cam, you're going to need a lot of stuff. And when all is said and done, you're probably going to end up paying just as much, if not a little more than the FX6 costs. But, man, even the FX6 needs a little bit of rigging if you want to make it a true cinecam, so it kind of balances out. And when all is said and done, rigging this thing up, you can look a little Frankenstein and the whole spaghetti bowl of cables hanging all over the place, handles, map box, the piles of audio adapters. I mean, you name it, it could end up looking a mess, but if you know what you're doing and are able to use YouTube, you can look up a lot of great videos that show you different ways you can rig this camera up and to make it not look so awful. And of course, no XLR, but there are many adapters out there that can handle this. You can get a nice Beach Tech mixer that gives you active audio. If you just need to plug XLR into your camera, there's plenty of cheap adapters that can handle that. Or you can get the super big, expensive Sony adapter. I can't remember what the hell it's called, but hey, if you got $500, it does the trick. It just look huge on your camera, and you got to figure out a way to, adapt that with all the other shit you got going on. Apparently, it's been known to overheat when shooting long periods of time in 4K 120, but if you're shooting for long periods of time in 4K 120, overheating is the least of your worries. Again, it can only do UHD internally and not full 4K DCI, but with the Ninja 5, you can get 4K DCI up to 60 frames a second. So, I mean, yeah, you got to buy one more thing, but everybody should own a Ninja 5. They're just awesome. And a big reason, I'm full-time at a production company, so there's no reason for me to spend many thousands of dollars on a Cinecam when it's not my main breadwinner. So this camera fits my needs as a weekend warrior shooting my short horror films and, the occasional side thing. And honestly, even if I was full-time freelance, I probably would stick with this until I needed something that did more than this could. And the biggest reason I went with the a7S III is it's available. You can actually buy it. Unlike the FX6 that I don't even think is real. I mean, honestly, I've never even seen one in person, so congratulations if you're lucky enough to find one. But for the rest of us who don't want to wait for the end of the world to buy an FX6, I would highly consider the a7S III. There's probably a lot I forgot and left out, but thank you for listening. I hope at least one of you finds this remotely useful, especially since there are countless others doing this far better than I ever could. If you enjoyed, feel free to like, subscribe, all that. If not, tell me why. What did I get wrong? What did I miss? You know. And with all that, my reward for doing this sober, time to have a drink. Drink 'em if you got 'em. Cheers.